screen for go. They're racing. He says go. He says ta-da. And Tiger Tara roars away from them on the home turn. Here comes another big boil over. Equine athleticism at its best. The king is in the castle once more. This is in one race. The rest are almost in another post. She is a star with a capital S. It's going to be a triple treat, a miracle three-peat. Ladies and gentlemen, you have witnessed history here at Menangle. What about that? It's getting right up on the sprint lane and it's going to bolt in.
Hello and welcome to the Sunday session as part of the Sprint Lane podcast. Thanks for joining me. Great to have your company this week, and there is a lot to get through. Strong meeting at Club Menangle last night, with the feature event being the Nick Robin Free-for-All. I had the pleasure of working with Nick at Sky and 2KY for a number of years before he passed away after a short battle with cancer a number of years ago. He was a very nice bloke, smart wit, cracking sense of humour, and it's really good to see Menangle is still running a race named in his honour. Last night's edition was won by the Jason Grimson trained and Cam Hart driven Hi, My Name is Jeff, and today I'm going to catch up with Cam because that win was the third leg of a treble. Also on the podcast today, I'm going to catch up with an old indoor cricket teammate, Gavin Fitzpatrick. Back in the day when I was living in Sydney and working at Sky, I played indoor cricket with a number of the leading trainers and drivers, guys like Gavin and Jim Douglas, Jared Alchin, David Thorne, Nathan Jack played a game or two from memory. I think Darren McCall was a regular. David and Josh Aiken filled in a couple of times. So Gavin was a handy bat, and I know he loves his cricket still, but I'm not going to be talking about cricket today, despite Australia beating England overnight. I'm going to be talking about his double at Menangle. Back in the days when Paul Fitzpatrick's stable was flying, it was a regular occurrence, but the stable isn't as big as it once was. But good to see Gav back in the winner's circle on a couple of occasions last night, so I'll speak with him. Also, I'm going to catch up with Paul Cochrane from Harness Racing New South Wales. I saw the team announced this week that fantasy harness racing is back for another season. I love my fantasy sports, and once the season does get into full swing, I'm going to have a short segment on this podcast every week dedicated to the fantasy season. So I want to talk to Paul about fantasy harness racing, and I'm also keen to find out what they have in store for everyone at Cowra next Sunday with the Canival of Cups kicking off. The Menangle Express will return this week, where I have a quick look at each of the Menangle races, and I'll try and find a winner or two this week, although it's been a pretty dry spell for the followers recently. So there's a lot to get through. Let's get started.
Where the pilot, as they straighten up his Hi, My Name is Jeff, trying to raise an effort on the inside as Longfellow, moving up strongly as Firefox, Tasty Delight, and looking for a run, Canina Provlima, and Mac Da Vinci's trying to wind up, but speaking about winding up, Hi, My Name is Jeff, certainly wound up at the 150, has dashed away, Mac Da Vinci's eating into the margin, trying to overhaul this leader, but Hi, My Name is Jeff, too big a break, and stops the clock in around 150.
He has been the state's leading driver for the past 2 years. He's all but wrapped up another one this year. He had a treble at the Breeders' Challenge Finals Day last Sunday and picked up another 3 winners again last night. Cam Hart is joining me to have a chat.
Morning, Greg.
Mate, another 3 winners last night. Big lead in the premiership. You're closing in on 200 winners for the season. 1,000 career wins is just around the corner as well, and you're only 24. Does it get any better?
Yeah, no, it's been quite a good ride so far, and yeah, it's been another good season and a lot of good opportunities, and just trying to make the most of it at the moment.
Mate, before we get into last night, let's talk about your dreams and aspirations. You are the leading driver in New South Wales. You've seen Todd McCarthy make a name for himself here before heading overseas to follow in the footsteps of his brother. Is that something that you would ever think about doing?
Yeah, it's definitely in the plans. Probably in a few years' time. I'm not in any rush, but America's always going to be there, and I'd love to test myself over there. It's obviously a lot of good drivers and great racing. So, yeah, it's definitely in the future. But, for now, I'm happy the way everything's going down here.
Have you spent any time in the States having a look at racing over there?
No, I haven't. I'd like to do a couple of small trips and just have a bit of a look around and, see how it all works, and maybe one day take the step and get over there.
You got a trip to New Zealand with Swayze on the second Tuesday in November coming up. When do you head across the Tasman?
Yeah, I'll probably go a day or two before the Tuesday. So, yeah, really looking forward to it. It was a really good week last year. It's great to be part of it, and really excited to get back over there and he's going really, really well at the moment, Swayze.
After driving him last week in that free-for-all at Menangle, are you confident that he can be ultra-competitive in the New Zealand Cup?
Yeah, I think so, for sure. I think he's going to be a top 3 shot in the race this year, and obviously Cuda probably looks the one to beat, but yeah, I don't think there's a horse going any better than Swayze at the moment. And, providing that he travels well and he's over there 100%, I think he'll take a lot of beating.
Your partnership with Jason Grimson, it's been a really fruitful one. Did you have much to do with Jason in the country before you both moved to the city, or was it just a situation that once you both arrived here, you sort of became friends then?
Yeah, it's probably more when I got to Sydney more than anything. Jace was a little bit older than me, and he probably got into the game a little bit later than what I did. And yeah, once we got to Sydney, we struck up a really good friendship, and then obviously really good partnership as well with the training and driving side.
Let's have a look at last night. Gennady was the first of your 3 winners. You made the decision to come off the inside and start the moving line in the back straight.
Yeah, the race just folded out really good for us. They went hard enough early to bring us into it, and yeah, it was probably a controlled third quarter, and it was just nice to be able to get up there outside the leader and control the race. And he moved really good, and he was tough on the line.
Like, he had to make his own luck. He gave all these dangers a crack at him, but to his credit, he just kept on giving in the straight.
Yeah, he's a horse who just keeps going to another level each time he steps out, and he's just really trying hard. And the last 50 he had to dig in to get past the leader, and he did. And yeah, he's just racing really well at the minute.
And the Riverina horse, I know the supporters, they all love him down there. And being a Riverina boy, I reckon that association that you're having with the horse would be one that you're enjoying.
Yeah, it's huge whenever, you can have that bit of a Riverina flavour within a horse's ownership, or if even a Riverina trainer comes up and they put me on, it's always that little bit more special if you can get a result for them. And yeah, they're a good bunch of blokes in this horse, so it was nice to get a win for them.
In the second race, you drove Stella Arden, and this time you made the decision to get going or get around to the chair at the 800-metre mark when the speed was only moderate.
Yeah, they went a really hard first quarter, and I was able to slot in early, and they just backed off the tempo. And to her credit, it's probably not really a usual racing pattern, but I just thought with a couple of the better hopes sitting on my back, I thought I might have been a sitting shot late. So decided to make the move, and they had to give me a bit of a head start then, and she was good enough to hold on.
Didn't know where to look. They were coming from everywhere, but she just kept sticking her head out, and she held on.
Yeah, she was really tough. She was probably all out at the 100, but she just done enough to keep sticking her head out, and she had some quality mares chasing her. Probably put the kettle on, and David Thornsby had been flying. So it's a nice effort from her.
What about Hi, My Name is Jeff? He went all the way in the Nick Robin free-for-all, 56.9 through the first half, which was comfortable enough, and then you just put your foot flat to the floor in the final half.
Yeah, he's a lovely horse and just really powerful and fast. He can roll off some good sectionals, and he got a good late lead. 56.9 was pretty comfortable for him for the first half, and yeah, he ripped the last half. 26 flat up the straight, and he had plenty left. So he just loves Menangle, and he loves the that style of racing where you can roll along, and loves the big track. So really looking forward to a Miracle Mile sort of carnival with that sort of horse.
Grimo obviously took him to Victoria for the Vic Cup, and he wasn't disgraced in that. Do you think that he's going to be competitive in races, like the Miracle Mile, and is he going to be around the mark in races like that?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's got the ability. He just didn't handle the track down at Melton at all when he got wide. I think that's why he's racing so well here at Menangle. He scoots around the bends, obviously being nice and big, roomy track. So yeah, I think he'll be right up there come Miracle Mile time.
And that gate speed's always going to be a help in big races as well.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. He hums the gate, and a lot of his starts I haven't really had to use it, but it's definitely there.
A couple of the beaten drives. Mr. Robin Hood finished second as a short price fave. What did you make of his performance?
Yeah, he went okay. He had his chance. He had a good trip in behind the winner, but the winner was just a bit too good for him, and just felt a little bit funny in his gear the whole way. I just couldn't really let him go, but he kept trying, and I think he's a horse. He's going to keep going through the grades. He's just got a couple of little things that Jace has got to sort out with him.
What about Lightning Dan down the track? Did he have any excuses?
No, not really. He had a good trip, and he's a really good sit sprint horse. He can't do a hell of a lot of work, but he had a nice trip, and yeah, he just didn't run on as well as we thought he probably would. But hopefully, he just had an off night and he can bounce back.
Best Bourbon was good in the trot, kept coming up the straight.
Yeah, she was awesome. They run along in that early. They went a nice lead time, and that kind of brought us into it late, but still had to go, 3 wide before the cage, which isn't easy, and she was super tough halfway down the straight. She was taking back the winner, but yeah, just couldn't do quite enough. But yeah, super run from her anyway.
And what about Romney?
Yeah, he just missed away. It was a bit uncharacteristic for him. He's usually a beautiful little horse to drive, but he just got a little stirred up in the score up and didn't miss away far, but it was probably enough just to probably cost him that couple of lengths, and he might have run a place if that hadn't happened, but still thought he got up the straight quite well.
Mate, you're closing in on 1,000 wins. Do you look at things like that? Are stats, do they matter to you?
I'm not one to really look too much into it. I sort of normally go just week by week kind of thing, and when things pop up, you sort of got to acknowledge them and be proud of where you're at, I guess. But it's not really something I think about too much.
And what about form? How much form do you spend, doing a week? Is it a big part of? It must be a big part of what you do as a driver.
Yeah, it definitely is a big part. You need to do your form to probably do the best job for the owners and the trainers. So here in Sydney, it's quite easy when you're going around in most races. You can sort of keep a hold of the form of all horses in the area, so it doesn't take too long. But probably when you go interstate, it takes a little bit longer. You dive a little deeper when you're not as familiar with some of the horses and drivers. And
do you get calls from trainers to head outside of Sydney very often to get to some of the other tracks outside of Sydney?
Yeah, I do a little bit of travelling around. Obviously I'd like to go interstate for the bigger races, but even I do a few trips out to Bathurst and Newcastle occasionally, but the metropolitan racing keeps me quite busy throughout the year.
Well, mate, we wish you all the best of luck in New Zealand when you head across, and of course the driving here in Australia before you go. Well done last night.
Thanks, Craig. Appreciate it.
Time for the Menangle Express. Race 1 was over the 2,300 metres. Freddie Singh and Small Tees were the early speed in the race. Freddie Singh crossed before Small Tees did the retake, took up the running. Crime Don't Pay was 3 pegs. Our Uncle Jim followed him, and then Foxy Data was 5 back on the markers. The speed was constant. Lead of 49.5, then 28.8 and 29.6. Gennati was on the marker pegs as well, but was the first horse to come off and lead up the running line with Lochiel on its back. That's one thing Brian Portelli does, is keep the speed on in front with Small Tees. There's no sitting up. His horses try to break rivals rather than out-sprint them. Third quarter was 28.9. As they turned into the straight, it looked a 2-horse race with Gennati chasing Small Tees. In the end, Gennati wore down Small Tees to win narrowly. Crime Don't Pay wasn't clear till late, ducked through a gap for third, and there weren't too many excuses for the rest of the beaten brigade. Race 2 was for the mares. Constantina charged off the arm and led before taking a sit on Arden's Delight. They charged through the first quarter in 26.4. O'Daddy was 3 pegs. That left Teresa Love in the chair before Stella Arden pushed around to the death at the 800 metres once the speed backed off. 29.7 second quarter made it tough for those back in the field, which makes Anna Love a really good run. 28.7 for the third quarter. Stella Arden hit the front turning for home and then just had to hold off all of the challengers. Anna Love was 4 pegs, had a checkered run in the straight. She dived late. She just missed. It was a good run after that slow middle half. The run on horses, Ideal and Dreams, and Polly Put the Kettle On got home well, but I thought Swell Time for Mark and Jack Callaghan was just as good as both of those in the run to the line and might be worth following. Race 3 was over the mile. Speedster Bubba Scrub led but didn't have to blast off the arm, led through the first 428 seconds and was able to slow them down to 29.7 through the second quarter. The Croupier was on the leader's back. Ideal Dan was 3 back. Romney 4 pegs. Saginaw 5. Made it a dash from the half and took the back markers out of it. The Croupier had the cold sit on Bubba Scrub and was able to go past it in the straight for Belinda McCarthy to win easily. Bubba Scrub had his chance. Might not be best suited to a sit and dash. Miss the Truth had an interrupted run in the straight, had to be shifted abruptly to get into the clear and made good ground in the fast last half. It's ready to win. Saginaw was okay off the slow speed as well. Race 4, back over the 2,300 metres. Alta Billy led with Emma's Boy behind the leader. I'm in Trouble raced outside the leader and didn't settle as Connections would have liked. 49 seconds for the lead time and then 29.8 and 28.6. Poker Delight was 3 pegs. Major Obama 1-1 and Unfazed was on its back. Unfazed made its move into the race very quickly, levelled up turning for home and put them away in a stride. I'm in Trouble battled away bravely. The race was over by the time Emma's Boy got into the clear. I like the way Chap Daddy and Eagle Watch hit the line. They will both be worth following going forward, I think. They got home in 28.4, 27.7. Race 5, there wasn't a lot of speed early, 27.8 the first quarter, and Joe Nean led with Red Right Hand on its back and tuppence outside the leader. They got slower and ran through the second quarter in 29.6. Royal Gamble 3 pegs, Lightning Dan in the 1-1, and Par's Guarantee on its back. Turning for home, it looked to be a 2-horse race between Joe Nean and Red Right Hand, and they did finish 1-2 with Red Right Hand winning narrowly for Trent Letherby and Talia McMullen. But the run of Par's Guarantee was super. He got home like a freight train. He's another one worth following and will win soon. Double Encounter did his thing, got home well, but I think he's going to keep doing that every start. He's going to bob up at big odds soon, so I guess you've got to just keep following him and having something small on him each week. Race 6 was for the free-for-allers. Hi, my name is Jeff, led for fun in a first quarter of 27.4. Longfellow was behind the leader. Canina Provlima, 3 markers, Firefox in the death. Tasted Delight 1-1 and Mac Da Vinci 1-2. They walked through the second quarter in 29.5 and that became an 800-metre dash. Hi, my name is Jeff, got home in 27.3, 26 seconds. He might pick up a nice race over the Carnival with his racing pattern. Mac Da Vinci charged home for second, low flying at the moment, needs to get into another race where there isn't an odds-on favourite who rolls to the front. Tasty Delight was good again in third and Pete Said So saved ground on the pegs. Race 7, Jack Brown was super aggressive with Raka Dan and Cross from out wide in 27.4. Wasn't forced to go hard after that. Got through the second quarter in 29.8, which gave him a chance to catch his breath. Dashed from the half, made it a pegs-dominated race. 27.9 and 26.9 home. Mr. Robin Hood finished second, race behind the leader. Lockhart Shard, 3 pegs, finished third. Big Black Diamond was fourth and race 4 back on the markers. Not too much to say about that one, except the winner looks a pretty talented 3-year-old, got left alone in front, proved too slick. And race 8 was for the Trotters. King of Love was the favourite in a wide-open race. Sonny G crossed him early before he did the retake. The lead time was fast for the Trotters, 49.3, similar to what the Pacers had gone earlier in the night, which brought the back markers into it. Royal Glenferrie was 3 pegs. It's Fergie time behind it. Red Castleton was in the chair. Aldebaran Tess on its back. 1 Magic Kenny in the Best Bourbon behind it. Speed was solid throughout, but 1 Magic Kenny was close enough this time. And when Gavin Fitzpatrick asked it to move into the race, it got around to the leaders very quickly and was able to hold them in the straight. The Best Bourbon was very strong to the line in second. Aldebaran Test in third. They first and second were able to loop her. She was only beaten the 2 metres. Best win of the night. I'm going to go with Stella Arden. She had to be brave in the straight, did plenty of work, was able to hold them off. Good effort in a role that doesn't normally suit her, so I'll go with Stella Arden in the mares. Best driver of the night, I'll go Gavin Fitzpatrick on Unfazed. Got the horse into the running line, was able to get around them really quickly when he was given the call and put them away just as quick. Good drive from Gav. Best driver of the night for Gavin Fitzpatrick. And the best beaten performances, there were 3 of them. Par's Guarantee, Miss the Truth and Mac Da Vinci, but if you put my feet to the fire and said go with one, I'll go Par's Guarantee. So that is the Menangle Express for Saturday night.
Unfazed producers on the outside. Major Obama's just struggling and looking to get into the clear as Polka Delight. 3 abreast. On the inside, Elder Billy, joined again by I'm in Trouble. Emma's Boy can't get a look at them, and Unfazed goes whooshka. Down the outside as quickly put paid to them. Unfazed goes to the lead from I'm in Trouble. Emma's Boy now into the clear, and down the outside, Eagle Watch runs home resolutely, but Unfazed is often gone, and Unfazed is going to be too good.
Gavin Fitzpatrick picked up a driving double at Menangle last night, one for his dad and one for his brother Blake. Unfazed, trained by Paul, had been knocking on the door since resuming from a spell, was an absolute eye-catcher first up, and it looked only a matter of time until he returned to the winners list, and that time happened to be last night at Menangle. Gavin is joining me to have a chat. Good morning to you, Gav.
Yeah, good morning, Greg.
Mate, good performance from Unfazed last night.
Yeah, I was really happy with him. He's been working up to a win. He's had 2 runs back before that and he's gone really well. But he just needed a bit of race fitness. Yeah, he's just been getting a bit tired in his races. But last night he was, much better.
It looks like the spell's done in the world of good. His form was fair before going for a break. He's obviously changed stables and he's joined the Fitzpatrick camp. But gee, you mentioned that first up run and the second up run and getting that racing under his belt. But he looks like he's thriving off all of that.
Yeah, that's right. He's always been a lovely horse. Charlie, who still owns him, he trained him, did a great job with him, and he's one sitting in the desk going 51 before at Menangle, so he's certainly got the talent. He just, as his form tapered off last prep, and we give him a real good spell, and he come back and just brought him up slow, and he probably got a bit bigger than we wanted, but I think it's done in the world of good because he's just come back, I think, a little bit stronger.
You posied up into a nice spot last night and were able to let him settle and then just come with that one run?
Yeah, that's right. I think that's his best style of racing. But it really suited. They ran along the whole way, and that's what he loves, following speed. If they roll along, he just loves it. So, it was just perfect, really.
It's interesting, you can see a horse when he makes the 3-wide move, move up slowly around them and get there. But last night when you moved, he moved so quickly. He moved from his spot to outside the leader in the blink of an eye. When you asked him to go, he really showed some acceleration. Yeah,
he did, Greg. Yeah, he's got really good speed. Yeah, he can really move quick when he wants to. And, probably the leaders are getting a little bit tired as well, but yeah, he did it pretty comfortably in the end, and I think that's why he's sort of in the 95 grade now. So I think that'll suit him, but because they run it generally pretty genuine. And
you mentioned he's gone 151 in the chair previously when he was with Charlie. His first 2 runs this time in, they went 151.8, 151.5. So he's a horse that is going to be able to they're going to run time every week, but he's able to run those sort of times and be competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He used to get a bit revvy in his races, so when they run along, he's so much happier. But yeah, he's got it. He's pretty versatile when he's fit. As I said, he's been able to sit in the desk before. He can sit back. So yeah, that's why I think he'll tucked away against the better horses. He should continue to improve. What about in the trot? You won one Magic Kenny. You won the last for Blake. Again, a horse that moved very quickly. When you asked him to go, got up outside the leaders very quickly and put him away. Yeah, he did. He went good. He finally put it together. He's a hard one to follow. But yeah, he was probably well graded last night, and 2 runs before that, I drove him. He galloped away both times, but he actually felt really, really good. So I thought if he did everything right, he'd be a good hope. But he sort of down the back, I thought we were in really a lot of trouble because the death horse was sort of dropping out, and we had to go really early, and he was a long way off him. So he did a great job, really. Was the key? You mentioned that he had issues at the start, his prior 2 runs. Was the key to last night making sure that he got away safely and did everything right early? Yeah, it was. Yeah, he just gets too fired up on the mobile. Yep. And, in the end, me and Blake just decided to just stay off the gate a little bit and, just worry about getting away, really. Yeah. And go from there, yeah. So Blake must have been happy? Yeah, he was. He was happy. Yeah, he's been a frustrating horse for him because he's got the talent. There's been plenty of times where, he's tested his patience, but lucky he's pretty patient. Yeah, he's with that win last night, takes him just shy of $200,000, been a great money spinner for Connections. Now, what about the Fitzpatrick stable? You've got a couple of nice horses there, and one of the headline acts, South Coast Arden, not too far away. Yeah, that's right, Greg. We give him 2 or 3 weeks off after the Len Smith. And, he's working up really nice. So we reckon about 2 weeks off the trials and, be ready to go again. But we had him nominated for the Inter Dominion, but we're going to bypass that and just sort of work towards the Miracle Mile Carnival here.
He seems to really be appreciating the Menangle racing.
Yeah, for sure. He's another one who just loves to roll even quarters all the way, and he can do it, sort of doing the work himself too. So I think he likes the bigger track too. He doesn't corner all that great on the smaller tracks, so I think he's also appreciated racing on the bigger track.
Got another nice couple of free-for-allers in the barn as well?
Yeah, we've got Zeus Bromack and JOK. They're both racing below their best at the moment. But Zeus, he raced last Sunday, is disappointing, so we've just freshened him up. He probably won't race for a month or so, but we're still confident that we can get him right, and he'll be ready for the carnival as well early next year.
Yep.
And JOK, he's below his best too, but we've just changed his training around a bit. Dad's changed things up, and we trialled him last Wednesday, and we're quite happy with him. So I think we're heading in the right direction, and he'll more than likely race this Saturday night.
All right, Gav. Well, good to see you back with a winning double at Menangle last night. Good to chat with you too. It's been a while, and look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Yeah, no, thanks very much, Greg.
There's a lot going on in the sport of harness racing in the state of New South Wales. The Breeders' Challenge final day was a big success last week, but now the attention turns to other things with the Canival Of Cups about to kick off and another season of fantasy harness racing about to begin. So with all of that going on, I thought it would be timely to catch up with a familiar voice on the Sprint Lane podcast. Paul Cochrane is the Marketing and Communications Manager for Harness Racing New South Wales, and he's joining me to have a chat. Morning, Paul.
Easy. Thanks for having me on the show again, mate. Long time. What do I say? Long time contributor, first time listener. Yeah. Is that the way I phrase this one?
Perfect, mate.
Wow.
Look,
it's good to know the Sprint Lane's in good hands finally.
Mate, tell me, you must be a very busy man at the moment. There is just so much going on in the sport.
There is. It never stops, and we've actually ramped it up significantly over recent months. There's been a lot of change at Harness Racing New South Wales, as you know, and it's been great to bring you on board to share some of the narrative of what we're going through. But, yeah, we've really, I guess, taken the opportunity to have a really good look at how we do business, how we engage with people. We've reached out to people and been prepared to listen probably a lot more than we have in recent times, taken on board some feedback and tried to implement that to provide, a different product. Ideally, we want to see that result in being a better product, but certainly a different product. And so far, the sentiment is good. People are excited about what's ahead. Can't wait to bring it to the people.
Mate, let's have a chat about something that I really enjoy. Massive fan of the NRL Supercoach fantasy game. I love NFL fantasy as well. I played in the first season of Harness Racing Fantasy, and the second season is just around the corner.
Yeah, and what we've done this year, Hazy, is we've actually moved the window of the game forward a bit. So last year we launched in January, well this year actually, if we put it in that way. Season 1 launched in January and went through till the 1st of July. We found that the window wasn't exactly where we wanted it to be. We feel like our racing wheelhouse really probably was finished before the game had ended. So we tried to line it up a bit more and really take in the premium events that happen, particularly at Menangle, but also bring a lot of the racing that happens on our regional tracks. We wanted to make a lot more of our drivers more relevant. We wanted to bring more racing into it and also give ourselves a better opportunity around the ability to drive registrations and hence moving it forward to start it at the end of November this time. And it'll finish at the end of May, which we think is about when we start to see our racing product probably have a bit of a northern hiatus, I guess, for want of a better term. And some of our better drivers do go up and drive in the big series up in Queensland. So we think it's a better fit for us, and we're excited about it starting.
Mate, I know the team at Harness Racing New South Wales sent out a survey and asked people who played in Fantasy Season 1 to give some feedback. What did you get from that, and what changes have you made as a result of that feedback? It's
really interesting, actually, because as the person who sort of came up with the game, 12 months ago or a little bit longer, as soon as it started, I already knew some of the changes that I wanted to implement. And that started to really take shape and prove themselves a little bit as the game was being played in Season 1. So we we had a concept in mind, went out to market with a survey and said, what do you think about these ideas? Would the game suit your palate, I guess, if we introduced them? And it really did support it. So things like having more of our tracks making up the game. Now, the challenge that we've got in racing, that you referenced the football fantasy games before, it's really obvious what a round is in the football. It's defined by the games on a weekend. You know, it could be Thursday to Sunday, and it's a pretty clean round. But in a product like ours, where we race pretty much every single day of the year, one of the things you have to do when you create a game or build it is actually define what a round is. So in order to be able to have more tracks more relevant and give more of the regions a go, we've had to implement Mondays into the game. And what that has meant is a region in particular like the Hunter, where Newcastle and Tamworth and some of these tracks are the fabric of that region. We've been able to make sure that they've got more opportunity to race, more points that have been generated. I guess one of the things that I'm really excited about is what we call a variable pricing model. Again, going back and touching on what you said about the football, as you know, and people who play a lot of the fantasy sport games would know that prices go up and down based on performance. And that's what we've been able to do with this game. So when people go on and register this year, the game is not going to be like they left it last year, where we had 6 race meetings around. It was pretty clean. It became somewhat formulaic, very metropolitan region heavy, and you could build your team as such. But because drivers' prices didn't move up and down, what we found is it became very difficult for anyone who was probably languishing lower on the leaderboard to try and make some ground. Now that we've got variable pricing, I think we're going to see a lot of volatility in the point scoring. The strategic play really comes into it. So a perfect example is someone like, say, Will Rickson last year. You know, it was apparent very early that we undervalued Will. I think we had him in the low 700,000 sort of mark. And, you know, on a variable pricing model, Will would have been well over $1 million in the first few weeks of the game under that, but his price remained locked. So it was really difficult for anyone who found him as a little bit of a value play early on. They weren't getting any value when they wanted to move him in and out. So we want to reward the student of the sport who's able to earmark someone who might go on a bit of a tear and accrue winners and be picking up points. And
that's why it's important when you're putting your team together. Like there's a guy, look at Jet Turnbull, he's $145,000 this year. I'll say within, you know, the first sort of 6 rounds, he is well above that 145,000. You need to have him early on in your team because he's going to be one that's going to make a little bit of money for you that might allow you to trade someone into your team mid-season who might be a game changer for you.
Oh, and he'll surge, Hazy. And as I said to the developer when we were piecing it together, because, you know, what we've done this year is we've made the base model entry point price at $100,000, which was, I think it was $200 in year one. We've made it $100. Now, Jet really probably, you know, under the template format of the game, probably should be $100,000, but his form has been so good that we actually manually manipulated some of the pricing structure, and Jet comes in at, I actually think it's 175, so it might be a little bit more cream on what you just said. But that said, I did say to the developer, watch out for this kid. If he's not the most popular driver in the game in round one, then I'll be shocked because, you know, he's certainly got the runs on the board. He's cheap. He's going to be able to pad out your team, and you're going to be able to use that money that you would have spent on a higher-priced driver on perhaps one of the more established drivers, perhaps in the metro region. But what's going to be interesting is, I think by default, and we saw, you know, Cameron Hart was so successful in season one, his price is reflected in that.
Yep.
So under the variable pricing model and the way an algorithm's been applied to the way the game's been built, Cameron is somewhere up around $2.4 million, I think, in the game. Now, okay, if you want to buy Cameron, that's great. But I'll tell you what, it's going to be very difficult to fit all these high point scoring drivers into your team. So it's a cautionary tale, I think, to people is I think that Cameron is going to find it very difficult to sustain his price the way the game works. And as you know with football, let's use say a Nathan Cleary, for example, or a Nico Hines in the rugby league. If you buy had bought those guys at the start of the year, within the first few weeks, you saw their price fall because it's very difficult to continually sustain that level of excellence over and over. I'm not going to say that Cameron Hart can't do it because we've seen what he can do on the track and what his feats look like, but that's a cautionary tale to people. Now, people might want to say, I'm going to spend up for him in round one and just lock it in, and then there's a trade you don't need to make for the rest of the season. That may be the way to go. We're really interesting to see how people play that one strategically and what the right move is, because it's going to be very difficult to fit everyone in.
The prizes have changed as well. There's cash on the table this year.
Yeah, and last year, obviously, we provided a car as first prize. What we found, though, Hazy, what I didn't factor in is out of the top five, I think 3 of the top 5 were from interstate. Now, that included Will Norman, who was just unbelievable. He went on and won the car. The way our country's set up, it's very difficult to have a car registered in New South Wales given away as a prize to someone in Queensland. So we thought, in the current economic times of society and cash is king, hey, we think a cash prize is the way to go. And so that's what we've done. The other thing is we've also, due to a partnership that we've done with Let's Trot and the merchandise range, we're really excited to be able to have a Let's Trot merchandise range available for our weekly prize winners. So if you win the round, there's a $300 prize pack available each week in Let's Trot merchandise, which I think is exciting as well. But the other thing is we are once again giving away those 10 double pass VIP tickets to the Eureka. The top 5 will all get the accommodation, they'll get the flights, and the feedback from the guys and the winners of that who went to the Eureka on the 2nd of September, they loved it. Now, I went and saw them, they were having the night of their life. So we found that that's actually the prize that everyone wants to win is getting those double tickets to the Eureka, which is just going to be fantastic in year 2 itself.
Mate, when does it all start?
So the first points will be scored on a Monday, as I said, on the 27th of November, when the arms fall back on the barrier at Goulburn on Monday afternoon. So that's the first points that will be scored. Interestingly, we've got one of the things that out of that survey that we found was people were really enthused and excited about the triple point score system. So we've actually got a triple points race in that first week. It's the Canival of Cups feature race when we'll be in Young. So triple points up for grabs straight away. We found that created a lot more variables and a lot more points fluctuations, which are really important in the way that gave people the opportunity to climb the leaderboard really well. So 27th of November. Now, please get in and register your team as soon as possible, though, because the way it works, if there is a tiebreaker, then whoever registered their team first will win the prize. Right. Now, if that sounds unlikely, I can tell you it happened a couple of times last season where our weekly prize, we had, I think there was one week where 3 people actually all tied for the weekly prize, but whoever registered their team first was the one that gets the prize under the terms and conditions of the game. Now, that's not a harness racing thing. That'll happen across every one of the footy codes and that. So anyone who wants to point a finger at us about that rule, that is stock standard when it comes to fantasy sport. But it's important, and it did apply a couple of times last year. So get in and at least register your team. You've got several weeks now to finalise your team, but it has to be locked and loaded, ready to go when that first race goes on the 27th of November. And what I would encourage people to do is get in and get your mates on board. Like, let them know how good this game is, because let's be honest, that first prize is one person can win it out of several thousand that'll sign up. But where you can get a lot of mileage is in the bragging points, the skin in the game of taking on your mates in a league and playing head-to-head each week and being able to take down your mates in the banter and the superiority that you will get out of taking down one of your mates with your team. That's where there's a lot of mileage in this game. And that's what I'd like to see grow is the leagues and the head-to-head contest.
It's really important for the sport as well, because the explosion of fantasy games in American sports has really helped the following of the game, because people say, for example, in the NFL, who might be a San Francisco 49ers and have no interest on a Sunday night game between Chicago and New York, if they've got a fantasy player playing in that Chicago, New York game, all of a sudden they've got an interest. So they're going to sit down and they're going to watch. And it's the same with harness racing. You might be a punter that enjoys having a bet at Menangle on a Tuesday and a Saturday, and that might be it. But if you've got a team of drivers who are competing at Tamworth on a Thursday, all of a sudden you're tuning in to watch to see how your drivers go.
Yeah, spot on. And that was one of the things that came through that survey that you mentioned, where people did say, yeah, I did pay attention to a lot more of the regional racing than I normally would, you know. And some of the comments where we had a comments field were, look, I normally only pay attention to Menangle on a Saturday night, but I found myself watching, you know, Penrith on a Thursday or Bathurst on a Wednesday, and that's great. It's also about putting we've got the best drivers in the world right here in New South Wales. They are the game. You know, the game is purely on the results of those drivers, and it's putting their names on their radar, and that's threaded through the publicity campaign that we've got that will roll out over the next few weeks, where the drivers are the heroes of the game. But you made a good point. There was actually when I was pitching this idea to the board sort of 18 months ago, I actually did find a research paper that was done out of the University of Texas, and one of the points they made was you do pay more attention to the product on the back of your stake, whatever that could be. And it might be, use an example with NFL, as you said, you might say, gee, I really don't like the New England Patriots, and I really didn't like Tom Brady and he's a polarizing, you either loved him or hate him, was basically what this thesis started to say. But they said, do you love him if he's your quarterback in your NFL team and he's making your points?
Yes.
So what you just said is spot on. You know, and using an NRL reference, as I said, you might have Nathan Cleary in your team as your halfback. Well, you're going to pay more attention to how he's going, even if you're not a Penrith Panthers fan.
Yeah.
Because of the points, and then we can run that line through our racing product as well, and that's the idea of the fantasy game.
Mate, what about Canival of Cups? Because there's been a pretty big shift. There used to be a number of Canival of Cup meetings held throughout the season, but it's changing. It's being re-centralised effectively.
Yeah, it has. What we did is really put a magnifying glass on the Canival of Cups product, had a look at it, and said, well, you know, are we doing this really well? Now, one of the things to be really clear on is no club's lost. They haven't lost race meetings. They haven't lost their feature race. You know, things still go ahead as they always were, but the Canival of Cups brand will be applied to 5 different race meetings, which we've sort of lifted the Canival of Cups brand and applied it then to 5 race meetings around the state. Now it starts at Cowra next Sunday, so it's super exciting where we're going to be in Cowra with, you know, some iconic legends of Australian music, providing the soundtrack to that event. We go to Young on the 1st of December. We're in Tamworth on January 26th. We're in Albury on the 16th of February. And then we end up at Goulburn on the 28th of April. So we've planted a Canival of Cups in each of our regions, and being able to take a really bespoke music product, put it into the regions, wrap it around our racing, expose new people, bring new people to the fold, and let them know that there's a great event to be had right under their nose if they just come to our racetrack and experience it. Now, if Canival of Cups, through the addition of a Darryl Braithwaite and the Whitlams and Darlinghurst at Cowra, or the Living End, Sarah McLeod, Things of Stone and Wood at Young, can do that, and people can come along and have the night of their lives, watch some bands on us, and then say, gee, I like what harness racing's doing. How do I get involved? You know, and as our new and really, really go forward CEO Peter Buckman continues to bang the drum, saying to people, look, for the cost of a cup of coffee a day, you can be an owner in our industry. And that's what we're trying to let people know, that it's as simple as that. And the thrill of being part of racing is really hard to match. And as you know, Hazy, our standard breeds are so placid. You know, as an owner in our industry in harness racing, unlike some other forms of the equine industry, you can get up close and personal with your horse. You can pat it. You can see the process from barn to track and the racing product. You can watch them a lot more on TV than you normally would.
Yes.
You know, if you're an owner in the Gallopers. So, you know, you're getting real good bang for your buck, and that's what we want to try and get people onto the track and say, have a great day on us. Have you thought about being part of us going forward?
It's important to point out, like in the past, Shannon Noel and Adam Brand have been used, but they sort of went around and did every Carnival of Cups. They might have done 7 or 8 different concerts, but you guys are going out this year and you're booking different, for want of a better term, Australian music royalty at each of the different venues.
Yeah, trying to badge them up a bit differently, so people are getting a different experience at each one. Both from a time reference and a geographical reference. Young and Cowra are not that far apart.
Yep.
We're talking 3 weeks between events and only 45 minutes down the highway. So it's important that they look different, and they will. One's a day meeting, one's a night meeting. One's going to be, very much focused on that Sunday afternoon, day in the sun. I guess, by nature of the music acts alone, the Whitlams and Dale Braithwaite, you're going to cut through generations. You've got that anthem of the horses, maybe a little bit of the Whitlams material that people will be familiar with. And you're going to have that afternoon in the sun, pop-up bars, really relaxed kind of vibe, and we think it's going to be a lot of fun. Move into a Friday night event at Young with the Living End, who are, one of the most successful, hard rock bands in this country's ever produced. And that big up-tempo, high-energy show, you're going to get a different feel. So, therefore, people are going to be able to go to both ages and get something different, get the same thrill of being at the races and getting a music product. And, I'll tell you what, we're putting it on for free. The Whitlams, Tim Friedman from the Whitlams was in touch with me yesterday. Now, they've just come off a national tour. You're spending $100 alone to go and see the Whitlams. Yeah, on that national tour, and they were selling out right across Australia. We're going to put them on for free and give you Darryl Braithwaite and give you Darlinghurst. What more could you want?
It's very important to point out that if people are listening and think they're going to just turn up on the day, that's not how the ticketing process is going to work.
No, it's not going to work like that. So you have to go online and get a ticket. It is so simple. It'll take you 10 seconds on your phone or on your desktop computer. Go on and get the ticket. There's a QR code on, if you're in Cowra and listening to this, if you can find a shop front without one of our posters on it, good luck. But there's a QR code on that poster. All you got to do is hold your phone up to it and it will take you straight through to the ticket portal, fill in your details, bang, you'll get a ticket straight away through the Eventbrite system. Or you can do it online. There's links all over our social media. You can't miss it. It's on our website, canivalofcups.com.au is where you'll find them as well. You got to get the ticket. So that's step one, Hazy, because you're not going to get in without the ticket. Now, I can tell people listening, there will be security checkpoints at each of our venues. There will be security where you're going to have to come in and get your ticket scanned. There is strictly no BYO on the venue, and that means your bag is going to be searched if you come into the venue. So that's important for people to know. And I don't want people getting caught out and thinking they can bring in stuff that means a lot to them, because you won't be allowed in if it's on some sort of banned list, and that's primarily food and drink options. It's no BYO. Okay, so that point needs to be made, and then it's as simple as coming in and just having the best day possible. So, but you got to get that ticket, and it's simple to do. Takes you about 10 seconds. All
right, so the first of them, as you said, Cowra next Sunday. Then we go into Young, and then we've got the 3 in 2024, early 2024.
Yeah, so it moves on to Tamworth on the 26th of January. So Australia Day event, it's going to be fantastic there. That we're well advanced. I can tell you I have booked the 3 bands. I'm not going to tell you who they are. Once we get through Cowra, we will make an announcement. But I can tell you, Hazy, if you're into your country music, look out. We've got a top line bill for people there in Tamworth. Mm-hmm. Exclusive performances by some artists who have sold out venues year on year at Country Music Week in Tamworth. So look out for that one, because it's going to be one of the hottest tickets in town, and it's going to be free. So it's going to be outstanding. But yeah, obviously Cowra is our primary focus right now, and I can't wrap the bands enough, Hazy. They have been so invested in making sure that they come on and put on the best possible day for our patrons on course, to the fine detail. Like Tim Friedman calling me yesterday to get a better understanding of what the changeover between bands is going to look like, and making sure that we've got the right people that are going to be able to change over drum kits for them, and because they are going to do a special performance of a song, a global iconic song that everyone will know when they hear it. You've got to come along to the course so you can hear that particular song, and it's going to be getting covered by an act at each of these Canival of Cups meetings on those 5 legs. So I'm not going to tell you what the song is either, Hazy, but I can tell you everyone will know the song, and I can't wait for this special performance by the Whitlams. So the investment of these bands they're not just coming along and collecting a paycheck to turn up and play for us. They want to make sure they're putting on the best possible show for our people and apply what they do to our product to really blend in and make it special for us. So, yeah, super excited about that.
And to hear Daryl Braithwaite sing the horses at a harness racing meeting.
How good is that going to be?
Oh, so special. That is going to be special.
I actually had his playlist on in the car driving to work the other day, and for the first time I could start to picture what it might look like. And one of the things that we know, you've only got to look at what the ATC's done with Sweet Caroline there at the Everest, and then we even saw a little bit of it at Eureka when Birds of Tokyo were on, and their big song Lanterns, which is probably the one that most people know. They did a special performance of that on the small stage next to the MC, the presentation dais. And you saw the crowd move a bit closer. When they did their big show after the event, when Lanterns came on, you saw the crowd move closer. I saw people get their phones out. You had the sing-along. And I think that iconic sing-along anthem, that communal choir that we can get at a massively attended event is going to be really special. So, when the Dazzler belts out the horses, I think that's going to be pretty exciting. I just plan on standing back and taking it in. If I have a little bit of a sing along, and you do too, Hazy, because you'll be there. Forgive us.
Yeah,
we might get swept up in the moment, but I think that's going to be really cool because it's just a song that everyone knows and loves.
Well, mate, great to catch up with you today. You're super busy. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to have a chat, and we look forward to both fantasy harness racing returning and, of course, the start of the Canival of Cups next week in Cowra. Good
on you, Hazy. Make sure, if you're listening, today's the day. Get online and book your tickets for that. Hey, the other thing before I go, though, Hazy, is we're doing so much more in Cowra. We've got a sports lunch on that Club Cowra are running in conjunction with us. So Jared Croker, Jordan Rapana, Josh Reynolds are going to be the football guests at that event. Our board member and massive media identity Yvonne Sampson is going to be emceeing that. So that's going to be a great event. You can buy tickets to go to that on the Saturday. On the Saturday morning, we're actually going to be running a junior rugby league clinic for all the kids out there in the Central West too, with those footballers that I mentioned, plus Zach Wolford, Sammy Williams. I think Big Shannon Boyd, who lives locally, he's going to be part of it as well. It's a great experience for the kids. The Cowra Magpies are involved in that. So there's lots to see and do in Cowra. For that particular weekend. We've been so heavily supported by Cowra Council on this one. So lots to be part of, whether it's the footy clinic, the sports lunch, and then our big event on the Sunday. You won't be disappointed if you can make the trip out there.
It's not just a race meeting anymore, the Canival of Cups, is it? It's more than that.
It's an event, yeah. It's a major event, and that's going to be the template for this going forward. Cowra have done an amazing job with being able to get their council on board, their tourism arm. We've got a brewery sponsor, we've got a winery partner, we've got links in with different outlets to make this a standalone event that it's going to, while Cowra has its own big day, which was only a few weeks ago, where they have the dash hounds and highly attended, highly successful. This is an additional event for Cowra, and it's going to look different to that. What we do in Young is going to look different to a normal race meeting in Young. Same with Tamworth. We are adding on to the existing Golden Guitar event, but we are part of what Tamworth Council are offering with their Country Music Week. So we're in the tent with that. Albury is going to be its own beast itself, and same with Goulburn. So you're going to see a different look and feel for Canival of Cups be applied to those venues than you would normally get if you went to a race meeting at Goulburn or Albury or Tamworth.
Mate, bright times for harness racing. Great to catch up with you, and I'll see you next week in Cowra.
Good on you, Hazy.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Winning. Hey, that's pretty good.
Winner!
That was legitness.
That I say, all right. Wow, winning.
Bam! Just like that. That's all there is to it, Dustin. That's all there is to it. A winner! Just like that.
And the winner is...
Hopefully we can find 2 winners this week. Let's start at Newcastle on Monday. Race 6, number 2, Waiting for Love. It's an up to 50 race. Tipped him 2 starts ago. Put in a rough step at a very crucial time in the race. I think this time, if Waiting for Love can do everything right, Will Rickson in the sulky, I think it'll be pretty hard to beat. Race 6, number 2 at Newcastle on Monday. Then we go to Wagga on Melbourne Cup Day, Tuesday. Race 4, number 1, Raging Sea. Gee, it had some excuses at Goulburn, got into all sorts of bother. Ended up racing 4 back on the pegs, but never got clear, made up a lot of ground. Numerically, the form doesn't read too crash hot, but I think Raging Sea can bounce back into the winners list with Taylor Osmond doing the driving. So that's race 4, number 1, Raging Sea. That just about wraps up the podcast for another week. Big thank you to the guests, Cam Hart, Gavin Fitzpatrick and Paul Cochrane. I'll be back again next Sunday for another Sunday session. Just keep in mind we do have the Cowra Canival of Cups next Sunday, and I will be at that. So we'll endeavour to get the podcast out for the Menangle meeting as soon as possible. So make sure you join me then for the Sunday session on the Sprint Lane podcast. Great to have your company this week. Catch you again next week.